Let's imagine you've just run your event, and let's imagine that you have done something like a five-a-side tournament, or you've done some kind of dance development day, or you've done a community fun run, or you've done something like that. We want to address the ways in which you might want to consider evaluating the success of how your event developed. And I really want to focus on five methodologies, and these could all be considered like formal methodologies. Hang on a second, what's happened there? Methodologies. It always helps if you spell things with the letters that are actually in the word. We're going to look at five methodologies. All right. So let me come down here. Methods of evaluating, and some of these are super simple, and others we're going to go into a bit more detail. Okay, so get your note-taking pens and pencils ready, and we'll go through this. Okay, so the first one that we're going to spend a little bit more time on is what we would call a SWOT analysis. Okay, so we're going to be talking about here a SWOT analysis. And before we go any further, by the way, just to be clear, this is on method number 1. And just before we go any further, what we're going to do here is, let me bring a rectangle in, and let's imagine we've got a rectangle here. Here it is. Let's imagine we've got a rectangle, sort of a bit of paper. Oh, my Skype's on. Hang on a second. Let me turn this off. Goodness gracious. We've got our method. We've got our piece of paper here, and what we're going to do is, in essence, we're going to divide it. We're going to divide it into 4, like this. Yours will be completely even, obviously, like this. We're going to divide it into 4. And what we're going to do is that up here, we're going to have the strengths of our event. Up here, we're going to have the weaknesses of our event, basically what went badly. Down here, we're going to have the opportunities for our event. Perhaps this is looking towards next year or the next iteration, the next time you do it. And down here, we're going to have a look at threats, things that might prevent any future success. And what the team will do here is they'll go through a process of actually structuring their thinking in these 4 categories, okay? So obviously with strengths, we're looking at things that went well, right? So ticks for us. With weaknesses, we're looking at things that went badly, something that we perhaps need to change. With opportunities, this could be all kinds of things. Well, opportunities could be related to breadth. Do you make it a bigger event in the future? Do you, for example, have the opportunity for increased income or increased participation or whatever it happens to be? Those are opportunities that might come your way. And threats would be things like, well, what if there's other people doing similar things? Is there competition? Okay, is there risk? Is there a risk of you misinvesting the money that's been earned or something like that? This sort of analysis will encourage you as event organisers to go through the details of what it is that's vital and crucial for your event. Secondly, you might use your SMART target methodology. Now, of course, you're studying this in other areas of the course, but if we consider both the measurable part and the time phasing part of this, or the time bound part of this, we can consider, did we succeed by the measure? What was the target we set ourselves, and did we do that in good time or in the time that was targeted? And if we answer yes to those things, of course, we can start evaluating success of this. If we miss the measure that we wanted to make, if we were delayed or late on that, then of course that becomes a different level of reflection. Let's think about feedback from maybe your users or your customers. You will probably develop some kind of verbal feedback. So people may well say to you, hey, this is great, well done, you did really well. That's really lovely feedback to hear, right? But remember that generally speaking, people want to be nice to you, want to show appreciation, want to give you credit, especially if you're young. Remember that verbal feedback you may well get different feedback from the same people, even if, by the way, I should have said, this one here is model number 3, or method number 3. What am I doing? This one here is model number 2, or method number 2, and this one here is number 3. So with number 3, verbal, remember that they may report to you differently if they're not telling you to your face. So that is the exact reason that we have number 4. And with number 4, we want to use questionnaires with the people that took part in our events. Now, with questionnaires, remember with your spelling, you've got the old double N in there, but questionnaires, and these are generally speaking self-report. If you can, guys, if you want to get really, really accurate data about how successful, make your questionnaires anonymous. If people don't put their names on things, they're very likely to be very candid with you, okay, because they won't feel it's going to come back to them. So self-report and anonymous questionnaires. And the other one I'd say on this one is soon after the event, okay? So don't leave it weeks and months before you ask people to comment on how successful it was. I'll give you my opinion on this one. It doesn't matter whether I'm working in sport at my sports club that I volunteer at, whether I'm working in my day job. Questionnaires are involved in every single event I hold, and I ask for feedback from everybody, and it follows those 3 rules. I wonder if that might be useful for you. It can be a challenging thought because, like, oh, what if someone says something that's not very nice? Well, that's exactly the information you're looking for, and you've got to have that mentality. And guys, fifthly and finally, our 5th model, we could do something like statistical analysis. And this is really useful because ultimately it's this model which is completely objective. Okay, you're going to take some kind of statistical analysis of your event. So what about this one? What about attendance would be a great one. This many people came through the doors, and this was our income. This is how many people paid. If you've got some kind of tournament or sporting participation, what about the number of matches? Or the level of participation you got? What was the average number of participation, average number of minutes, this sort of thing. So these would be ways to objectively analyze your own event. So look, we've got 5 models there, guys. We have got SWOT analysis. We have got, if I just bring you down here, reflection on our SMART targets. We've got verbal feedback. We've got self-report questionnaires. And of course, finally, guys, we've got statistical analysis. These are the 5 methods we would encourage you to evaluate your event utilizing. Cheers.